you know what the potential result is of you walking into that club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be Cheddar Bob. Don't be shooting stuff up, huh?
Not so.
Don't be Plaxico.
Hey, give me 49 seconds.
Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it.
Listen,
Fellas, it's gonna be one of them nights.
It's gonna be. I'm telling you. Another Tuesday night at 9, man. Prototype Dad in the building, man. Welcome, fellas. We got a special guest tonight. My man Daniel Tate. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. Just dadding it up, bro. Just dad and husbanding.
Okay. Welcome to the show, man. Hey, I think you came down to Atlanta. What, a year? Was that a year ago now?
A little over a year ago. Yep.
So,
Yes.
Yeah,
it was last month, last year.
So, I mentioned the show to you then, man. So I'm glad you was able to jump on.
Absolutely.
Finally, after a year. But no, tonight's topic is going to be interesting, man. We had some interesting conversations over the past 2 weeks, just about responsibility between, in a relationship, in a marriage, in a relationship period. You know what I'm saying? Fatherhood, whatever. So we're going to dig into that tonight. But the first thing we like to just kind of go over the current news of the most recent news that might have hit your feed, and anybody, we all got different feeds, timelines, or whatever. So what you might get is different from what Leifer might get, but I'm sure we all got the same thing in mind today, right? So current news, Tate. What came across your feed over the past 2 weeks?
Oh man, they tried to shoot the orange, man.
Look, in our neck of the woods too, man. What they doing,
bruh? That wasn't he was up like in Butler. That's not the place I would expect him to get shot at. Like that's his country. That's his town up there. I don't know what was going on.
I don't know, man. We had a conversation about that. I think that his country is expanded more than Royal Rednecks. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I could say that. Is that a
nah?
I don't know if
is that a slur? What you said? Is that a slur?
Yeah.
Is that a slur?
You know what? You know what though? That might be white people's N-word.
Yeah, right. I was like, white supremacy has a new face. Yeah, white supremacy has a new face anyway. So
yeah. So I mean, but nah, man, like I've been on these panels, man. Trump got mad black support, yo, and it's wild. It's not wild. I get it, and I don't know if it's an elitist thing, like we the black people that made it out, but it's typically Mo gonna get a kick out of this one. It's typically the non-FBA that are Trump supporters.
FBA. You know what I'm saying? What's that?
The tethers.
Check this out. I'm gonna say something.
It's the born here, but my parents are from the Caribbean. It's the born here, but my parents are African. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, like
they're black. They're Americanized Africans. They're Americanized Caribbeans, West Indians, something of the sort.
Well, they're not black.
They're not like us.
Or West, they West Indian. They African.
I had that sentiment. I know Leifer might speak differently. I don't know if I'm putting.
Well, no, I'm sharing the sentiment of friends that I got from the continent. They'll say they're not black, they're African, or they're Senegalese. They're they can name their country. Black is what we are because we can't name our country. So
like that,
I'm gonna push back on that. We're American.
Absolutely, I believe that black is the most American thing there is.
Yeah, I'll say this is our country, because because they'll kind of go and be like, "Oh, you don't know your culture." This is our culture.
This is my culture.
This is my culture.
This is it.
Yes. Everything that is my culture, everything that influences the world, everything that Black is here is what we are. Because you separated us from.
Yeah,
right. You separate us from everything that we were. So this is us. This is what you got. We're the youngest culture, but
culture nonetheless.
Look, we're going down a rabbit hole. It's like, not really. I don't say, because the continent of Africa and the creation of all those countries, that's fairly new too.
Oh, how about it?
So, but I know we're getting too deep. So, but continue.
How about it? Well, hold on. Let's circle all the way back though, because everything was born in Africa anyway. So we all African, or we all Black, or the same thing.
But that's like saying the Irish ain't the Irish. They're African.
They're African. Yeah.
What you got, Lee? You quiet. You too quiet.
That's because I'll eat this shit up. So I'm just like, I'm gonna let everybody just talk. You know what I mean? So I don't
exactly, Leaford. That's what because this could be a show.
Time. Yeah,
this could be a show.
End up being a 3-hour show, and we won't be talking about anything that's scheduled. So
on the docket.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at that that Trump shooting, and it was weird because the first thing I thought was like, oh, this dude is he's trying hard to get some Black support over here. Dude gets shot at, he survived. He acting like Tupac or 50 Cent out here talking about fight. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm like, instantly the first thought I thought was, yeah, this is creative. There's no way. Yeah, it's staged. There's no way he's getting shot at. It hit, like, if you drive out of Allegheny County and you drive over into Butler,
there's no way he gets shot in Butler.
The moment you go in, there's a big old bulletin board that says Trump country. Like, the moment you go in, and as you drive down the side of the highway, I mean, it's everywhere. The flags, it's everywhere. So it's like, for me, there's no way. How do you get shot in?
Right.
At home,
like this is your house. Forget how he expand. He might have expanded into some other, suburban, areas or whatever. Like, that's his base right there. So that was just like, there's no way. And then you go into the story, and it's some guy who lives, some young dude too, 20 years old, from Bethel Park. You know what I mean? So he
Bethel Park,
he's from South Hills, and he
which
drove
is South
to North.
Butler.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you know Bethel Park, you know that's
South Butler.
A pocket.
Yeah, it's the same.
A pocket of people.
Definitely. Yeah. But the story was that he's a registered Republican. He voted Republican in the last cycle in 2022, but has since been given little dollars to Democratic organizations or whatever. I think it was like $20 or something like that. Like, I don't know.
But it said it was like 3 years ago when it said it was 3 years ago, and when he was 17, I was like, okay, this is starting to get sketchy.
Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, come on, we're going to this deep dive, and they got all this information this quickly about this guy who's barely able to vote. Like, he's just able to vote. He couldn't even vote for President Trump the last cycle. So it was like, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Part of me, my conspiracy theorist mind, part of me is like, okay, this is trumped up for real, pun intended. Right. And another part of me is like, all right, well, if this is real, then you know what I mean. Folks got some problems. Folks got some problems because he's got some, like, folks who was on the line, who was teetering on the line, are now like massing support behind dude now because of it, because he's coming out as this whole he's almost like the Nelson Mandela now. You know what I mean? They're trying to get him away because he's telling the truth and he's our freedom fighter. Like, they're going hard for him. So it's a rough place, man. But man, I it's hard for me to it's hard for me to place support behind somebody I've seen lie over and over and over and over and over again, and literally tell you to your face, like, I could kill somebody right here with everybody watching and get away with it. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. But People feel how they feel.
Like literally, dude's a reality TV star. Like,
and all the world's a stage.
Yeah, he's not new to this.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on this weekly news, Mo?
Look, so I'm glad you kind of came to me last on this. So let's start out with this. Man, there's no place in politics for this. Like, now, granted, this is history repeating itself. I mean, they didn't try to kill a lot of presidents or candidates and stuff like that. So this is nothing new in America. This is a very American thing. So let's start with that.
Can I ask, has anybody survived?
Reagan.
Okay. Is that the only one that survived an assassination attempt throughout history?
As far as I know, yes.
As far as like public,
like American president, presidents, yes, as far as I know, yeah.
Reagan's the only one that survived an assassination attempt.
Yeah,
I mean, that's interesting. But all right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So with that being said, this is a very American thing. So let's keep it a buck. But it's not really this deep, in my opinion. Down to what after the election, because I don't think this changes any of our lives much. Just being frank. So when I think about is the pendulum swing that big that somebody needed to pass away? No. And so the first thing I think of, and obviously I have my own biases, but the first thing I thought of is I remember when I went back to whenever I fly back to the Pittsburgh airport, I always see kind of the people that work there. They always look inbred to me. And the dude who did it looked kind of inbred, and I was like, okay, this is kind of what's going on here, because I was like, this isn't this deep. Like, I was like, why would he want to do this? And as far as where it happened, and I think that's actually plays into it, because like for the same instance in reverse, there was a white guy who was trying to do that. He was trying to start a race war in Atlanta by shooting up a black concert in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So because you're around your own, you get more comfortable, and potentially you relax and you lax your you're being on guard or whatever. So maybe that's what happened. And I got so into it to where like I reached out to somebody who they're a gun maker and they understand ballistics and stuff like that. Because I was seeing stuff on the internet where it was like, oh, that level, that size bullet or whatever, if it hits you, it takes your head off. And I was like, well, I mean, that's not how physics works. So I get what we want to say it's staged and it's whatever, but that's just not the way the world works. Like 1 inch to the left, 1 inch to the right. I mean, even if it was staged, he could still, his goofy could have got popped off. So I believe it was real. But I just believe that, okay, they could have coaxed somebody up to it. But I believe it's real. Like, I believe those were real bullets flying at that dude. Like,
I don't think so. And there was no other casualties. Nobody else got hit.
Yes.
There were.
Yeah, somebody died behind him. That one that I guess just hit his ear, like they said, when it actually hit somebody out of there.
Okay.
He got elected to Jesus.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
And then 2 other people got hit and they were critically injured, but I don't know if they made it or not.
Because something like that, bullets take up space. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for it just to nip his ear, it doesn't make sense, because you're thinking that it's just going straight like this. It starts to flip as it's going through the wind. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But
it flipped inside somebody and they got it. So it was a real bullet. Like, now if it would have just so happened that where nobody got hit behind him, and like, because I want to say there was like 5 shots that were taken. Maybe we might have had more of a leg to stand on, but they were shooting live rounds and they missed it. Like, I mean, it was just, lucky, or it wasn't his time, but the people behind him, they out of here. Like, so these were real ballistics that were coming at this man. And so,
I just don't understand why this man's worth a bullet.
Now,
which is the question I've asked for the past couple of days. Like, why is he even worth a bullet? The attempt.
Here's the thing.
I told y'all a long time ago, I said he was going to ruin democracy.
Absolutely. But here's the thing for me. I've seen people die in movies, but they ain't really die. Just like, we could stage a shot. We could stage somebody dying. Just like, we could pump up a shooter and stage a shooter. We could stage somebody dying. I wouldn't put it past, anybody, because, and I posted this like, you know, a few hours or a few, I don't know, a few hours, a few days, I don't know, everything's the same. I'm tired. The worst mistake you can make is, no, the only thing worse than making a martyr against your cause is missing. It's just like Leaf said, you know, the people that were on that line now have chosen a side of that line, because now they have, you know, now they have a victim hero. Now I
agree with that. He's unbeatable at this point.
Yo,
yeah, he's unbeatable.
I
agree.
Exactly. And you mean to tell me it just so happens the victim was a firefighter?
Yeah, exactly. Like
on,
nobody hates a fireman. Like, you know, there's
everybody
people that got beef with the police. There's people that got beef with the police, but like nobody hates a fireman.
Driver. He couldn't have been a grocery store worker. He was a firefighter.
He was a firefighter.
Yeah. Come on.
So now you got the, you know, so the only part that I don't get is he was a Republican, you know. I mean, he's a young man, he's a kid, you know, but he's a Republican. And that's the only part that I'm like, yeah, you know, they could have gone with like, you know, they could have found a I don't know, what's the epitome of what they're, you know, the opposite of the Trumpsters. You know what I mean?
So on to the next
escaped
question.
Convicted felon. An escaped convicted felon that was a known gang member.
This is what I'm saying.
Oh, Mexican, immigrant Mexican. That's illegal.
That's what it should have been. Hey, you know they've been
built the wall. See, look what happens when you don't
throw it all together.
No,
throw
they
together.
already been running that play. Like somebody's been posting daily about how immigrants been doing crime. Like, and I've been sitting on my feed, like, I don't know, bro. Like every immigrant that comes over, they're doing crime when they get here. It's crazy.
Man,
but
the biggest criminals in America are so-called Americans. But let's yeah.
What are you feeding your soul with?
Next question.
What are you listening to? What are you reading? What kind of music you listening to? What are you reading?
Bro, okay. So I am actually reading up. I'm doing a lot on the 9 intelligences and the 8 bodies. Your face. So it's a
I'm interested. I'll say yeah.
Right. So so what I do, I'm into how can I explain this? I do a type of therapy, and this is for work. I do a type of therapy that engages the kinesthetic IQ. So everybody I know on this call is an athlete. Kinesthesis or kinesthetic IQ is having the ability to move your body, right? Most athletes have a very high kinesthetic IQ, right? So what we do is we engage the kinesthetic IQ and allow you to reveal yourself through how you participate in sports. So the primary means is therapeutic boxing, right? If you ever been in a fight with somebody, you know that person from being in a fight with them. So you kind of reveal yourself, who you are, and then we just pull out the symbolism or pull out, you know, your character traits, and we kind of talk about those things. But what it also allows you to do is, you know, when you're working up that energy, it allows you to, you know, be honest. You know, people get to talking after, you know, after some physical activity.
Hey, that's interesting.
Go ahead.
I used to always do dates at the gym for that reason specifically. Or if I'm vetting somebody, I would make them come work out with me. Like my little brother or my little sister introduced me to her husband. I was like, he got to come work out with me. You know,
let's go to the gym.
And that's kind of how I would learn if he was weak, soft, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Mo?
I got my own, but I'm curious now. So, like at one point, I remember, I studied kinesiology for a little bit, but so my pushback to Vic on that was, what if that person, like you're saying, like you would take him to the gym, like somebody like me, I don't like lifting weights. So what would you have gleaned from somebody lifting weights that doesn't like to lift weights?
That doesn't lift weights, right?
I'm looking for your temperament. You know what I'm saying? Your willingness.
It doesn't
to go
matter.
through it, regardless if you like it or not. Your willingness to go through it or not. You know what I'm saying? And how you're handling something you don't want to do or do want to do. Your love books. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at how much you lift. I'm looking at when you quit, how you're complaining, that kind of stuff. That's
interesting. I'm gonna look more into that. I'm curious.
Okay. Yeah, it's not about you lifting like me. It's about, are you quitting? Are you complaining? You know what I'm saying? And that's how I'm getting to know how strong or weak you are mentally.
Yeah, because we definitely don't lift the same, bro. Clearly. You and her slanging weight. I got my high reps and low weight.
No, that's something I need to look into. Because I do a lot of that type of testing and stuff, being an HR professional, but we never at work, you really usually can't get into kind of the movement part of it. So that's interesting, man. I'm actually curious about it. So that's something I'll dig into deeper. But now, to be honest, man, it's getting around that time of year where, it's football season, stuff like that. So I ain't gonna say I kind of shut my brain off, but I'm not taking in as much academic type stuff, man. I've been watching Receiver on Netflix, and then also Sprint on Netflix, man. That really has kind of got my juices flowing. And I have, so kind of to y'all point, there was I didn't even realize this. He was the Olympic gold medal 100-meter sprinter from Italy from the last Olympics. Somehow I don't even remember this. It actually kind of speaks to that, kind of who he is and his character. Because once he won, it was over for him. Like, he got all the glitz and glamour of it, and like, it's a fluke. Right. Like, I can almost guarantee you he won't win again. He may not even make it back to the finals. Like, that's how much of a fluke it is. Like, dude that hasn't, I don't think he's won a nationals or at least a world championship in the last 4 years, because it's like he lost the desire to be great. So
he don't have another goal.
Yeah, so it kind of speaks to
his goal was to win. It wasn't to be great.
Yeah, so it kind of speaks to what y'all saying. So but that's why I was asking the question that I asked. I would much rather judge you on what you like to do versus something you already hated anyway. And that's why I was thinking that. Be like, so let's say you saw somebody who was a sprinter, and I'll be like, okay, well, let's go run. And what if I beat him at it? I want to see how he reacts to that. And if he throws a tantrum and stuff like that, then or if he's like gets aggressive, I might be like, okay, well, my sister might have something to worry about. He gonna whoop her. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of stuff I would have thought about. That's where I was going from when I had that.
I think win or lose, there's a lot to learn from how he approaches that, right? So if he beats you, how's he acting? You know what I'm saying? Is he encouraging you? Is he what is he doing after that? Is he ragging on you? Is he encouraging you? Like that tells a lot about his character as well. So regardless if he likes to do it or not, I was my aunt used to say, never pick a girl up in church, take her to the bar. And that's how you see who she really is. So yeah, like I used to be like, oh, I want a church girl, and then she'd be like, that's same girls in the bar. See how she acts at the bar, and that's how you know who you get. But
I wouldn't take her to the bar.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what she would tell me. That's what she would tell me. Like when I was on that Christian thing heavy, she was like, no, take them to the bar, and then see how they act in the bar, opposed to how they act when they at church, because it's two different sides.
Problem is, a person like me views the church as a hospital. They go in there to like kind of leave something behind. So you take her to a bar, you probably reintroduced her to the thing.
You took her back to the scene of the crime. You took her back to the scene of the crime.
Exactly. And now she lost all the Jesus she had.
Hey,
messing with you.
You need to see that though. You need to see that. You need to see if she's gonna lose that Jesus.
Look, you want to see if you could take her to the abyss?
And how easily can you be persuaded?
What you got, Lee?
To be honest, man, I haven't really had much time to kind of, put energy towards some things. But I've been like compiling different things that I plan to read on converting negative energy into positive energy into, basically, and just trying to mentally change my reality. But I haven't had time to kind of delve into any of that specifically, because I've been working on so many different things. It just finished up, thankfully, the Juneteenth thing we was working on putting together in Swissvale again, and then I got I'm doing a fall festival here, so I'm working on that, and then got for my job I got a community impact conference that I'm putting together. So I'm just kind of spread thin mentally to where I haven't had the time to really delve into anything to kind of feed myself. Right now I'm just pouring into everything else, so hopefully after the dust settles in September, October-ish, I'll be able to get back into some stuff. But you know what I mean, I got all this stuff that I kind of got to get out the way.
So let me ask you a question, Lee. What are you doing, like what are you using, like physical? What are you doing for physical activity?
Oh man, I got a community garden, so you know what I mean. I get out there and I kind of, that's physical and mental. I get out there and do some gardening. I'm on the treadmill. I got the treadmill at the crib, so I'll be on the treadmill. I do my push-ups. Do a little calisthenics and stuff. Got a gym membership, but I ain't making it to the gym as often as I would like to, with the little guy and my my teenage daughter having me chauffeur her around everywhere. But I try to stay physical if I can.
Reason I ask you that, there's a there's a thing called
absolutely not.
There's a thing called sublimation. Sublimation is when you take negative energy, as you said, right, and you turn it to positive energy, really just by like letting it out, like getting something you can hit, or getting something like, when you get on that treadmill, like hit the dash and until you're done. You know what I mean? Like, and it, like something that's just like real barbaric, or real like lower self, real like animalistic, so that you can like just get it out, and then you kind of bring it back in as positive energy. Sublimation.
I think that's probably why I got so many struggles now, is because I've been trying to internalize all my animal energy. You know what I mean? And not be so expressive with it, and internalizing it has really built up a lot of anxiety. So I think I do need to create an outlet where I can let some of that beast out.
You definitely need something where you can outburst and scream.
Look, why you think rage rooms are so lucrative?
Bro,
like I was like, that's a stupid idea, but people are making a lot of money on those. I was like, oh,
yes,
so
sir.
A lot of y'all are holding in a lot of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
So I
mean, we
what I was gonna say, I was gonna suggest a book called The Secret, and I think they also have a there's probably like a video or a documentary on YouTube. I remember when I was kind of going through a journey of that helped me, and it kind of it was like manifesting stuff, your thoughts into reality, and it's the I guess the law of magnetism, and what you think about you can manifest and stuff like that. So check that out.
Did you finish Prime's book?
Oh, you said
I have not. It's still sitting over there, man. It was a tough read, to be honest. I hope that, matter of fact, I'm gonna push through just to finish it. But it became a tough read.
It's monotonous once you get into it. Like after a minute, it's like he's just saying the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, it was a tough read, so I haven't finished it.
I one thing does stick with me from that book is when he was talking about how him growing up, he seen like people with long driveways, and he's like, the longer the driveway, the longer the money. So that's what he had in his head. And I'm like, damn, my driveway's short. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got no money.
Listen, nah, my driveway long. Ain't no money at the end of it, bro. It's not a rainbow down here.
Oh man, so no, let's kind of get into the topic, man. We're kind of talking about realistic expectations in relationships, right? So the first question is, what's the realistic expectation for having a good vibe with your spouse at all times, right? So it's like, how some people are like, oh, I just ain't feeling it, or you get the bad energy all the time, and your spouse is walking around with an attitude. You gotta deal with those type of things. Y'all don't want to hug, y'all don't want to kiss, but how should it be though, right? Like, should you expect for it to always be cool? Like, you always want to be affectionate? Like, you always want to have that good vibe, that ha-ha moment, and laughs? Is that just a part of the piece? I don't know if I'm saying too much, but you understand I'm trying to explain the question. So what's the realistic expectation for the vibe, a good vibe in your home? What you got, Tate?
So we have, so there's two things, three things actually. So one, we absolutely expect each other and everybody to be a complete and full human, right? So a complete and full human is going to have their highs, they're going to have their lows, they're going to have their in-betweens, all that other stuff. So I don't expect my wife to be, some kind of wife bot who doesn't feel, whether it be me, whether it be work, whether it be kids, whether it be, I don't expect her to be a wife bot. You know what I mean? But two, we don't argue. Like, we've been married, we close to 10 years. We've never had an argument. And that's not to say that we don't disagree, but we value each other. We value each other, and we value each other's, emotional sustainability and the respect of the relationship enough to say, you know what? I kind of feel like arguing. Let me choke that up until I can find the actual words to deal with this in respect and consideration. Right. And number three, we got like little ritualistic things that we do. Like, we walk in the house, we at least a little pet, that's I find out where she is. If she real tight-lipped, okay, I know where you are. If she real loose-lipped, okay, I know where we might be tonight. You know what I mean? So I think those are kind of three things that, we have kind of set into place, whether we have said it or not. Well, the arguing thing we definitely said, but whether we've said it or not, that, kind of help us to keep the peace. And, they've become expectations. We both are aware of these expectations, which is very important as far as expectations goes.
So this is interesting. And, obviously I didn't necessarily know the questions prior to, but the first thing I thought about is when you asked the question was, are you happy with yourself first? Because I consider myself the thermostat for my house. I set the tone. So if I'm, if I have bad energy, everyone else is going to follow behind that. And then it's going to be, who knows what happens depending on how I react to what they do off of my energy. So that's the first thing. And that's not to say that I don't have bad days and I don't have off moments, but what I like to pride myself on is, one, I don't make the same mistake twice, and I try to keep moving. Like, even though I might be in a dark moment, I'll keep moving, and I'll try to work myself out of it. So the expectation is that we're humans. Like, there's going to be ebbs and flows, but at the end of the day, we're not going to let things linger too far to where potentially it's going to become where I see like toxic relationship, like every argument could potentially be the last interaction. Like, I think that's bananas. Like, so I think, kind of like Tate was mentioning, like, I think you have to have respect, and you also kind of have to like your spouse. Like, that has to, because if you actually like them enough, you're willing to deal with whatever. Like, I've had some arguments. I'm gonna be real with you. I've had some arguments. I can, like, I when I believe in something, like, I'm willing to fight passionately about that belief. So I've had some arguments, but at the same time, I can also determine, okay, this is going too far. And I'm like, okay. And actually, so me and Vic actually just had that conversation. We went golfing this weekend, and he had said something like, well, I can say anything. I was like, no, you can't say anything. You can say anything to certain people, but I was like, somebody who you plan on actually still being in their life and still like for example, like, I could say anything to somebody that I'm willing to burn that bridge with. But if I actually plan on you still being around, I'll be like, okay, let me go ahead and throttle this down. Yeah, because I could say some, like, I'm real slick with my words sometimes, and I cut deep. So with that being said, man, you have to kind of be, I guess, regulated with your audience, and in this case, being your spouse, man. And I like her enough, and I love her enough to not try to intentionally hurt her just based off emotions at the time.
I don't want to say hurt
stuff with words. So but understanding like there's gonna be ebbs and flows. So for me to expect her to be, you know, just super bubbly all the time, that's unrealistic. And not only that, that's unfair to her because she's a human.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Lee. Okay, so the reason I talk to a lot of, you know, people or whatever, and, you know, some people are willing to throw things away just off the vibe being off in the house. You understand what I'm saying? Like a off vibe in the crib will trigger so much. You know, KW has his little iPad on, but a off vibe in the house will trigger somebody to start snooping. Will trigger somebody to go outside on you. Would, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they just, you know what I mean? Just because the vibe don't feel right, it triggers so much.
Right.
I guess a lot of that goes to insecurities in the other person.
Mm-hmm. Not being regulated,
right.
Not being a good thermostat. You got a bad thermostat somewhere.
Right.
So
but
not
even
regulated.
if you are, like, let's say you're a bubbly one and the other person's not bubbly, right? Like you set the tone for a happy environment, and then everybody in the house doesn't have that same tone, right? Especially like us with daughters, right? I've dealt with that where I set a very bubbly tone and my daughter's walking around grumpy, dark, and you're like, yo, what the heck? And it instantly sends you to the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on. Like, this is a bubbly house. You know what I'm saying? The thermostat is set to here. You know what I'm saying? So why you not here and you can't get that feedback from your, you know, for your daughter or even your spouse though, like, right? Like, you do everything that you think you handle everything for your spouse. You got the environment right, and then they're still walking around grumpy. That's where remarks like, "Oh, your side dude must have pissed you off because we good over here." Like, you know what I'm saying? That's where that kind of stuff comes into play, like with those memes, right? So yeah, that's why I kind of like threw this question in there because it's like, how do you can't always say like, "Oh, I'm gonna set the temperature to this," and if the house don't hit it, like, hey, the AC really might be broken. You know what I'm saying? You got to,
but that's the point.
Yeah. So, the AC might be broken, but you got to figure out how to fix it. But troubleshooting is a whole other thing.
So if it's set to 72, but the temperature inside is 79, that indicates that there's some more work that needs to be done, and that's what I mean by being the thermostat. So for the most part, I'm going to be a constant. I'm going to be consistent, and if someone else within that house, for whatever reason, is trying to pull that in one way or another, there's a good chance I'm not going to let them do that too much, but that also is an indicator that there's work that needs to be done. So that's what I mean by thermostat. That doesn't mean that, you know, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. The house is on fire behind me and I'm like, everything's good. But no, what I'm saying is that can, being that you're constant, that ebb and flow outside of you is the indicator that, hey, there's more attention that needs to be handled there. It needs to be directed there because for whatever reason, it's unregulated.
Right.
What you got, Lee?
Yeah, I ain't got nothing, man. Because let me tell you what, there's way too many vibes in my house, and I kind of, you know, for me, I like to set the tone, but I also like to be an observer. So I don't want there to be a fake bravado in the household. Like, I don't want people to be putting on, you know, a front just because daddy's home or just because the husband's home, so they act in a certain way. Now, I want to see how you really feel. I want to see what's really going on in your mind so I can properly assess the situation and see whether there's something that I need to fix or adjust. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll set the main tempo, and then I'll give space for people to kind of be themselves and kind of act how they act. And then, it's like, okay, well, you know what I mean? We need to talk, you know what I mean? Or we need to have a bigger discussion about what's going on because, you know, certain things ain't aligning. Like I'm hearing you telling me everything's cool, everything's okay, but your actions is telling me something completely different. So it's like, okay, let's see where we can go from here. And, you know, it's often rough for me, man, because, you know, as everybody or most of the people know here, there's space out in the ethos. You know, I'm an introvert, so you know what I mean. Oftentimes being out at job, working and doing this out in the community and everything. When I get home, sometimes I ain't got that. Exhausted. You know what I mean? I need to recharge. You know what I mean? So I'm like right here, and the slightest of anything could take me right here. So it's like I'm like trying to, okay, well, how can we move through this without there being a, a major episode? So, so I'm trying to communicate everything with the people that I'm living with, let them know, hey, daddy's tired. Daddy don't got, that I just need a minute. Just give me a minute to recalibrate and adjust, and then let's go back to it. So, oftentimes what it comes down to is just communicating where you're at, and finding out where they're at, and then kind of bring it to, to a level space in your house. And I guess that just comes with healthy communication. And, don't let me fool you into thinking that I got it figured out, because I don't. I know what I need to make it work. I just ain't there yet. So I'm continually working on bettering that communication so we can get to that space to where it can be a vibe in unison, where we can just move as a group, and everybody kind of, kind of feels good when we feel good, and when we feel bad, we can work through it.
That's fair.
Next question, man. What are the pros and cons of joining a bank account? What you got to take?
You said of what?
Joining finances, joining the bank account.
Bro, if that woman can't have access to your money, you don't need to be with that woman. Like, if you gotta like pull and hide and set aside and all that, and granted, every account we have, like, it's not just one bank account. Every account we have is not a joint account. I have my own accounts. I have my own credit cards. I have, those things. But there's nothing that I have that my wife doesn't have or can't get access to, because if I can't trust her with my money, then I can't trust her. Like, I can't put the tool above the prize, if that makes any sense.
Sir, that's why you're here. That's exactly why you're here. What you got, Leifer? I mean, what you got, Mo?
Look, and that was look.
I saw him. He was taking it back. He almost clutched the pearls.
Like you are a very evolved human. Congrats to you. I hope to be there at some point. But no, in all seriousness though, like, obviously, the people that actually know me know that I believe that that's probably like up there, like second or third reasons to even get married is to combine finances. And, so I believe in it, but it's not 100% thing. Like, so for example, I do believe that, and I've tried it a couple different ways, right? So I definitely believe that, there should be a level of transparency when it comes to your finances, but to just totally have access, everybody doesn't have the same discipline, right? And you probably shouldn't as a spouse. Like, you should be able to, be in tandem with your partner, not necessarily be replicas of each other, right? So for example, I think so, and this is what works for me. What I found is that it's good to have kind of a joint account that kind of handles the bills and handles everything that makes the family flow and makes their house run. But I also find it to be ideal
beneficial
if there is additional money for each to have their own to do whatever they feel. Because I've tried it the other way where I was just putting everything in a pot, and then the whole you bring your wife your check, and then, and then you like, hey, give me a couple dollars for lunch, and then she like, sorry, I'll make you a sandwich. I'm like, 3 generations ago, I'd have knocked the furniture out your mouth. So it's just one of those things where you know what I mean. So
we do not condone domestic violence here. I prototype that.
You know what I mean?
He said 3 generations ago.
Yeah, look, man. I'll say, man, generations ago, man, this would have been a different story.
I absolutely feel you on that. And me and my wife make the joke, I can't buy you a gift from the joint account. Like, I do need to be able to move kind of on my own. I need to have some money that's, but it's not money that she don't know about. You know what I mean?
Right.
like there's definitely a transparency. As
She
I
might
said,
not have access to it, but she know about it.
We have separate accounts, but we have that joint account where the money goes because it needs to be there, and that's how, like you said, the household, the bills, the things like that are managed.
And for less fun application to it, the reason it's important to have kind of transparency is if something were to ever happen to me, I would want my wife to know how to continuously to make this thing run. And I saw this previous generations. I remember, me growing up with my grandparents. I remember when my grandfather died, like it was almost like starting over. Yeah, it was like starting over. Like we were finding like, old Discover cars, and they're like, oh, when you gonna pay your bill? And they're like, oh, we didn't know this was a thing. And you know what I mean? So there definitely needs to be a level of transparency when it comes to your finances and what it takes to run a house. So, but with that being said, I mean, I think there's a blended approach and a mixture, especially when, both parties work. I think it only makes sense to also be able to do a little something for yourself. Because if you're just, everything's going to be just depleted into the family, like at some point you're just, dead bot, and you're like, yeah, I'm like, man, what's my purpose at this point, man? What do I get out of this? So, but obviously I think there needs to be, I think this kind of goes more to financial literacy, but I think there needs to get to a point to where your finances and everything, your expenses that it takes to kind of run that house, there needs to be enough to have that extra for each to do their own thing, even if it's just something small. But obviously that's a different discussion, but, I could see how if you don't have those types of communication, you don't have that transparency, things can go left very quick. Been there, done that. So, I mean, I don't know if I would characterize it this way, but I've been told I'm a control freak. I'll handle it, because I don't like the feeling of something getting cut off and I didn't know about it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Like, we gonna go down to the courthouse and get something annulled because you did something like that. So it's one of those things where just understanding and I'm self-aware enough to know that let me handle it, but I'll be transparent enough so my spouse knows what's going on. So I'm not necessarily going to 100% combine my finances, but as far as whatever it takes to kind of keep this household running and to know what's what, they're always going to know what's there. May not know what the balance is, but they're going to know that, oh, there's another pot of money over there, because then they start thinking about, well, you got it. Why don't you? So that's why I don't do that. But with that being said, I think there needs to be a level of transparency and also a level of collaboration where everyone at least knows there's enough to handle everything that needs to be handled. And then there's also, what you have over there in order to do a little something for yourself.
I think initially when I went into this thing, it was I thought about it like how you thought about it, Tate. Let's join everything, right? And we're blind, so we do what we hear and we think is the right thing to do. As I wiggled through, it's really been on a government thing, right? Like access based on responsibilities. Like if you don't got no responsibilities managing any funds, paying anything, then no need for you to know any of the financial information either. You know what I'm saying? But not that it's a closed off circuit. It's more of a, if you want to take on extra responsibilities, then we could talk about how we could expand and try to combine and do whatever. But as of right now, if you don't need access, then you don't know, you know what I'm saying, the financial or whatever. So that's kind of how it's been rolling for me. So just kind of government, like as you get if you want more responsibility, then okay, this is what you need. You need XYZ credentials to handle such. So I mean,
so I got a question on that though, and this kind of goes back to Mo's point. What if something happens to you? How does that house run?
Fuck them.
Like,
no.
Dang. I know it ain't that. I know it ain't that. But like,
F them kids.
I know. Right.
I mean that's set up to be dispersed accordingly. You know what I mean? So,
okay. All right. I ain't gonna have you reveal your financial information.
Yeah, I mean it's set up to
what bank you at?
Disperse appropriately, but yeah. So I mean I have thought about that, and that's
right. I was gonna say don't be down probate court. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you to be down probate court because you ain't told nobody the passcode.
Yeah, no,
fighting for their life.
I'm telling you.
What you got, Lee?
So I think the key words that I want to hold on to is I think Reese said it. What did he say? He said transparency, collaboration, and discipline. And I think those are the key words, because all of that comes down to one major word, and that means that is trust. And you have to have that trust within your union to be able to have the transparency, the collaboration. The discipline is how you determine who has the most access and who is going to control the funds, or maybe not control, maybe control is the wrong word, oversee, would be the funds overseer who is in charge of making sure that this union and everything under the union does not fail. So and that changes from relationship to relationship. Sometimes the man is a little more fiscally responsible. Sometimes, a lot of times, the woman is more fiscally responsible. From what I'm hearing, a lot of guys, a lot of guys that I know, they get their check and they hand it off to their wife. You know what I mean? They give their check to their wife to say, "Give me a couple $100," and you know what I mean. I don't care about nothing else. And I could never, but you know what I mean? the way that my mind works is like, you know what I mean? Everything is zeros and ones. I see numbers and money all the time. So, and I'm the type of person that'll check my account 6 times a day. Every single one of my accounts, I check them 6 times a day. Make sure there's no fraud. Make sure there's nothing coming out that ain't supposed to be coming out. Make sure I ain't spending more than I said I was going to spend. You know what I mean? So I'm always checking it. So that's something that I'm cognizant of. So with that being said, like I'm open to a myriad of approaches, whether that's a joint bank account. Currently we all have, we both have, multiple bank accounts. We had bank accounts before we were together. You know what I mean? Some of those bank accounts still exist. Some of them are more nostalgia based, you know what I mean? Based on where we were at in that point in time in our life, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And it was like, oh, we bank here and we went to school here, and it reminds me of times that, so you might still got a little bit of money in there that you use for vacation or something like that. And then part of it is kind of like, you tried to close the bank. I mean, you tried to close the bank account, and then they just gave you a whole bunch of incentives to keep the bank account open. So you just just kept it open. You keep a little bit of money in there or whatever. But a joint bank account for the joint expenses, whatever joint expenses there are that needs to be taken care of, however you break it down, if it's broken down, or if one party pays for all of the joint expenses, there's a joint account for that. But like I said, I'm open to exploring many different options that way. Like, I don't feel like there should be a one way to do that. I think it just matters what works well for you, where your trust level is at, and what you're willing to kind of explore that works well for you and your family's goals. Are your goals just to maintain bills, or is your goal to have money to save for a rainy day and to invest and to have for retirement and to pay for the kids' schooling? Then you need multiple accounts. Then you know what I mean, and you need multiple different things set up with funds going to different things. So that all comes with with that communication piece that I was talking about, making sure that you are communicating in the best way that you can, and the person who is the best with the finances, making sure that they control the finances, and then you set it up the best, whatever way that you guys decide on. But yeah, for me, I think what could possibly work, is having a joint account, and then you both have your own separate accounts to kind of use your money on items. You want a bag of chips, or a new pair of shoes. That's not something that has to go through the joint account, that you have to say, hey, I want to buy a new pair of shoes. Are you cool with that? Does that work in our budget? You got a little pocket over here that you can handle that with. So
discretionary money is what we call it.
So next question, unless you wanted to keep going, you good? Tate? So next question, what's a realistic expectation for chores and bills in the household? What you got, Tate? And
You said
really,
chores and bills.
We can lump it in, right? Chores and bills, and really do how many bills you pay have weight on how many chores you do in the house.
Whew. So that's wild. I would never. I don't think I would relate those two. I think kind of the bills sort of go toward what Leaf was saying. You know, the person that manages money the best manages the bills, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not putting all my money in the pot, but money goes into the pot to make the house run, if that makes any sense at all. As far as chores, I don't know. I feel like I do all the manly stuff and she does like the womanly stuff, just as far as stereotypically goes. You know, like before we got on this call, I took out the trash. I don't know. I keep my space clean. But I think that some of these things are just common human sort of things. Like, I lived on my own for a very long time before I got married. So I'm used to doing everything. So if something needs done, then naturally I'm going to just do it. I'm not going to be like, oh, this, you need to do this. I'm not cleaning the toilet because you didn't.
Right, this woman's work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I like to sit on a clean toilet, so I'm gonna clean the toilet if the toilet need clean. So I don't know. Chores. My kids got chores, but the grown-ups, I mean, we kind of do what needs done. I don't know. My wife is a former chef, so I can cook, but like, she does it better than me. So maybe that's kind of like the bills thing. Like, she's better at it. So that's kind of what she does.
Paying the bills also go into who also makes the most? Like, who puts more in the pot? Is that now become a part of the chores if you put more in the pot?
Nah, man. No, heck no, man. Heck no. Not from my perspective. Not from me. Like, because there was a time when, you know, when we first got together, like, I think I'm pretty sure my wife was like six figures or close, and I wasn't. And, you know, I put what I had into the pot, and she put what she had into the pot, and the bills got paid. Like, it didn't, like, no bill had anybody's specific name on it. Like, it was just money's in the pot, bills get paid. It's never been, oh, you got the big bills and I got the little bills. Like, it's always been, we got money in the pot, everything's paid, let's have some fun.
No, that's solid. What you got, Mo?
Look, like I said, man, he's very evolved. I'm a little bit more of a caveman. So no, but in all seriousness, like, I don't necessarily equate. It's not necessarily a pulley system between paying of bills and chores. But it's, you know, kind of like I mentioned with bills before, it's what does it take collectively to get the job done for this house? And I always look at, you know, kind of my family as a business, and I want it to run efficiently. And, you know, to Tate's point, I mean, I was an adult before I was a husband. So, I mean, I was able to do all this stuff prior to, so I kind of keep that in mind. And now the one thing that is like where I said I'm a little bit of a caveman is where it comes in at is, like, I still believe that there are certain things that a man's supposed to do. Right. Like, I believe I'm supposed to provide and protect for my home. So when it comes to bills, like, I'm, for the most part, if I can, I'm taking the lion's share of it. With that being said, man, my wife is very accomplished in her career, makes plenty of money, probably make more money than I do. And I always tease. I'm like, man, I make a good wife. You know what I mean? Like, but with that being said, I mean, especially, you know, her being an accountant, and I mean, when her busy season is going on, which it kind of seems like it extends more and more, but like, I end up doing a lot of the stuff that would be quote unquote woman's duties, but I don't get salty about it. But it's just, I'm doing what it takes to keep the house running efficiently and keep us doing what needs to be done. However, I don't think that's sustainable because that's the caveman in me. I'm like, man, I'm doing a whole lot of, I'm like, man, where the apron at? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm doing a whole lot of that. But at the same time, I'm evolved enough to realize that, in a pinch, I'm willing to step in and do what needs to be done to make sure that everything is handled appropriately. So but I mean, it's whatever works for you. Like, I don't think there's a off the shelf solution to finances and gender roles and stuff like that. I think it's whatever works for your union, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to how much you're going to pay and like, can you pay whatever, can you live with whatever that percentage is that was assigned to you? If not, just because you're the man doesn't make sense. So I think it needs to be a customized approach that works for both parties involved, and whoever's like kind of the dominant one shouldn't necessarily just kind of inflict their will on the other. Like, it needs to be a true collaboration and a true conversation as to, hey, is that sustainable for me? And once y'all come to that consensus, y'all should kind of be, running that play until something changes. New data tells you that, hey, this isn't sustainable. And I think that is, kind of to the approach of having an agile approach. As things change and circumstances make it maybe not sustainable anymore, or if there's a better approach, let's do it that way. So I just think, again, like kind of going back to kind of the communication and the collaboration is going to be very important to determine what that mix is and how the ratio spills out.
So I definitely treated it as a pulley system, to where I kind of like Tate's way about going about it, where he's separating, and I wonder if you separate the next topic from the other two as well, the next question. But he's separating bills and chores as just two separate identities, and you know what I mean? Like, that's like they don't even deal with each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the bills is the bills, and we handle that. You know what I'm saying? Like, chores is a whole nother department. You know what I'm saying? Same company. But these departments don't, like, they need each other to run, but they don't necessarily talk to each other. So the work that gets done over here doesn't interfere with the work that gets done over there. And I can appreciate that separation. That's just not how I've been functioning. It's been like,
that's what I was about to say, because you just said it was a pulley system. They separate, but one tugs on the other. You said you said it wasn't a pulley. You don't necessarily run on a pulley system. So and you said it did.
I'm saying I have been functioning on a pulley system, and I'm saying I appreciate how Tate's running, how keeping them separate entities. You know what I'm saying? I think that might be a little bit healthier. It's definitely more fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know women have this thing about fairness. Is this fair? Is that fair? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's definitely more fair to keep them separate. But it's hard to when you be like, well, there wouldn't be a crib, like, you know what I'm saying, for you to like even clean. So
you ain't put in nothing this month.
Yeah.
So I got a quick question for you, Kev, because it could speak to the agility of the situation, right? Mm-hmm. Is it one or two incomes?
One. I mean, it's two, but it's one.
It's two.
Okay. No, I feel you, because I know that situation. So here's the situation, right? Again, my wife, she makes real good money. She works real hard. If you see this little glow behind me, over my right shoulder, that's her computer. So she about to, get back to work. So I can't, in my right mind, expect my wife to work like all day and then have to do everything else. Like,
come home and be Molly homemaker after she didn't work the full
exactly.
shift.
Yeah, that's not going.
Here's the thing though. Like, what if it's a work all day but don't contribute, but all they got to contribute was bills? I mean, was chores.
Well, there was a lack of a conversation and y'all didn't collaborate properly.
No. I'm not listening to you. I want to hear Tate's
perspective. That's all.
No, but
like, you need to have that conversation.
No. You talking trash. So, what you got? What you got, Tate?
So if there's nothing there to contribute, then you got to contribute something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I believe that a husband and a wife should be an asset to each other. Right? So I'm in line with Mo when I say, you know, I make a good homemaker. Like, if I'm not working, okay, my contribution is going to be making sure the house is set up this way, making sure, you know.
Oh, so now it merges.
Takes to keep this thing running.
Now you're saying it merges then?
No, I'm saying, like,
separate.
Yes, but they work the same though. Money in the pot is money in the pot. Things get done. So they are separate departments. I don't say, oh, if you're not paying, you know, anything, then you got to do some chores or whatever the case is. But like, if I ain't got no job, I need to do something. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Okay.
What you got, Lee?
So, one thing I'll say is, you know, I was a full-grown adult, like the rest of you guys before I got married. So I too took care of my own dwelling, washed my own clothes, my stinking drawers, and cooked my own meals, and, you know, paid my own bills. So, so for me, man, I don't necessarily look for force or try to enforce the stereotypical gender roles. However, you know, there are some things that I'm better at. Like I'm a chef, so, you know, I'll throw down in the kitchen. Look, I get paid to do that, so I don't always want to do it for free. You know, sometimes I need, you know, I just, you know, I don't want to cook every day. You know, it's okay to have somebody cook 1 or 2 times a week, so I don't have to. That I can deal with. You know what I mean? But so what I'm talking about is balance. You know what I mean? I don't need anybody to wash my clothes. I'm a creature of habit. Every single week on Tuesday, I wash my clothes. You know what I mean? Like, I have a specific schedule for everything that I do. So I don't like to upset that or interrupt that. But if I somehow, for some reason, have to work late and I can't do it, it'd be nice to have somebody that will do that for me, or to fill in, or, you know what I mean? Like, just things like that. Like, I don't necessarily feel like there has to be a specific role that somebody does. I just think, hey man, look, some days I got 50%. It'd be nice if you can give the other 50. Some days I might have 70. I only need you to give 30. Some days I might got 100. I got this. You know, sit down, relax. You know what I mean? I just need somebody to be able to pick up where I can't finish. You know what I mean? If I don't have the energy to whatever, I might only have 10 one day. I might need you to run that 90. You know what I mean? So, and that's chores wise. Now, as far as the bills go, I mean, I'm always probably going to take the lion's share of the bills. And that's just because I want my significant other and my partner to have full range to be able to take care of the kids. You know what I mean? I don't want you to be looking like, oh no, we need to pay this mortgage, we need to do this, we need to do that, or no, I want you to be able to say, hey, the kids need new clothes, hey, the kids need this, hey, the kids need that, and you can just run off with it. You know what I mean? Go ahead and do what you need to do. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure the lion's share of everything that we need is taken care of, so that my kids are well taken care of. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be things that, you know, I'm not thinking about. Like, I'm looking in their room and I'm like, they got plenty of clothes. They don't need no clothes. I don't know which of these clothes fit or don't fit. I don't know what's, what is, from 2 years ago, or
until that kid come out with mismatched socks. I'd be like, ooh.
No, I have no idea. So that I just don't know. You know what I mean? So I go in one day, you know, she might have to, you know, go off to work earlier than normal, and I got to get him ready. And I go in the room, and I'm like, nothing fits. He looks like Urkel and everything, you know. And I, you know, I would never know that because I don't necessarily do a lot of that stuff. So you know what I mean. So my thing would be, you know, I just want to make sure that I can take care of the lion's share of everything for all of us so that she can make sure that the kids is good. You know what I mean? And even if I do look out for the kids in some way, shape, or form, man, like my wife's eye is just better in regards to, you know what I mean, what they should be wearing, how they should be having, you know, how they should be dressed, how they should be appear in public, you know what I mean, schooling, things of that. Like just her eye is on that prize, where that's not where I've put my focus at.
Where you might be like,
trust her to be good where she's good at. Yeah, I'm like, they're fine. Those high waters work. Just get them out of here. They're Capris now.
But at the other end, you look at her car, you be like, yo, you need oil, you need gas, you need brakes, you need this, you need that, because that's what you're in tune
different
to.
eyes.
Like
different eyes.
Exactly. That's why both are necessary.
A light flashing on your dashboard.
Okay. Exactly. Them tires are
gumballed. Go get this done.
Those tires are gumballed. Like,
you're sliding all over the place.
Why is your tire blowing bubbles? Like, this is a bad idea.
So absolutely, that's why both are necessary.
So actually, I did have a question though. So hold on before you go to. So as a chef and a spouse of a chef, are y'all overly critical when the other person does, like when the other person does the meal? Like, let's say Leifer, let's say your wife cooked it, or you like Gordon Ramsay, like, this is disgusting, it's not edible.
So for us, there are certain things that my wife feels like I cook better than her. I don't necessarily agree, but if my wife feels like I cook those things better than her, then it becomes a treat whenever, you know, I cook those things, and I can bear them because, you know, they what I've been cooking. A little gripe I got with her, and she was it the chicken Alfredo. So
look, he making me a chicken Alfredo.
So wait, so check this out. Right? So check this out.
Down like hey.
It does indeed. But check this out, right? So my chicken Alfredo, my wife was she was in R&D for Kraft Heinz for a real long time. The Classico chicken Alfredo sauce is her sauce. I used that sauce for years before I met my wife, and I was like, "Oh, I've been eating you cooking for, you know." So it was a little joke. But she changed my spaghetti recipe, and that's been our little gripe. Like she wasn't really feeling like my spaghetti, and I like loved my spaghetti. It was like my thing. So
she said, "Get off that ragu, boy."
I mean, I made some pretty decent spaghetti. It wasn't ragu. I won't say from scratch. Did I add like veggies and stuff? Yeah, I added veggies and stuff. You know, I would get like a thin sauce and add veggies, and you know, I wasn't using like ground meat at the time. I was using ground turkey and a spicy turkey sausage, kind of meshing that together, and I would throw a little bit of a Scotch bonnet in the spaghetti to kind of kick up some spice because I like spice. But she wasn't feeling it. So also my sauce was more meaty than like runny. It was more.
Pause.
I know, right? I heard it when I said it. It was more of like a paste than like a runny sauce.
It was like a meat sauce. It was like more of a ragu, like a meat sauce. It wasn't like the marinara with the meat.
You just gonna keep saying meat sauce?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it because there's a distinction between it. Like a lot of restaurants, if you go, you know, their meat sauce is thicker. It's more meaty. It's not like the marinara.
Yeah.
But how we typically make it in the black household, you know, we gotta do everything. You know, we gotta make the Italian into, you know, something else. So it's a little bit less. You know, it's a little more saucy with the meat as the I guess the meat is the garnish. Yeah, it's not full meat, but a full meat sauce is very meaty.
It's not full meat. What?
Run with it now. You're gonna run with it now. It's very robust on the meat.
very
the meat is the garnish.
It's very
it's got a robust meatiness to it.
Meat. I think we're supposed to say no Diddy somewhere in there. I don't know.
No Diddy. No Diddy.
I'm crying. Look, Mo's crying. Oh man.
Hey yo, he said it's not full meat. I'm like, wait a minute, like, are we still talking about spaghetti? Like, what is going on?
It's not firm. It's not firm. It's not a firm meat.
Yeah, I'm talking about R&D. R&D is full meat. I'm like, wait a minute, like this conversation going left.
Hey, speaking of meaty. Yo, so what are realistic expectations on intimacy in your relationship, right? Because like as a young man, you think like, oh, when I get married, I'm gonna be getting it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, like low key is you want to ask, is masturbation still a part of your relationship life? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, let's set a realistic expectation for guys in their 20s or wherever. That's about that, thinking about getting married or thinking like, oh, sex all the time. What is, or some people say sex never. You know what I'm saying? So, what is the realistic expectation of intimacy in relationships? What you got, Tate?
So for me, it depends on how you want the response to be, right? I know, for a fact that my wife, if I want to, she will give it to me, right? But at times it's kind of like reluctant. You know what I mean? Like she's not if she's not in the mood, if she hasn't been primed for the event, then it's not going to be, so all right, yeah, you can get it all the time, but
it ain't going to be the sex you expecting. Yeah.
It's going to be subpar from what you're expecting sometimes. So, you get it all the time if you just need to put it in a hole. But, as an adult man, there are certain things that I want to come along with that are not just putting my penis in the hole.
I love that answer. So, what you got, Mo?
All right, leave it to me to be the caveman again. Okay, so look, let's be real. Like, man, I literally was, so for the most part, as far as I know, man, I got married well before all y'all, man. I did it very early, and I remember part of it. The thinking was, in-house yams. So that's covered. So now I can go forth and be great at all the other stuff that I want to accomplish. That ain't what happened. Like, you be like, wait a minute. Like, all right, I'm going to go back outside. I'm still him. Like Himothy going to get right. Like, so, but as I evolved, and for the record, like I'm on my second marriage. So I would imagine I'm much more involved at this point. It's like, that wasn't like the lion's share of behind the reasoning for in-house yams, obviously. But with that being said, man, there's still an expectation though, for real. Like, obviously we took vows and there's a certain level of expectation when it comes to loyalty. So, daddy still need his medicine. Like, so don't play with me. You know what I mean? So you still have to perform, in that way. Now, granted, I as an older guy at this point, I understand, like, because what you said was intimacy. You didn't necessarily just say sex. So when it comes to intimacy, I understand that there has to be a certain level of reciprocation. And to Tate's point, you have to kind of prime it and you have to actually prep to get the type of performance that you're looking for.
So that's important. That's important to post out, right? Because I was just on the call on the live before this. You know what I'm saying? I was saying on the call, I was like, even when you're married, you're still gonna have to act like you got to chase it, and that's the priming. You're still gonna have to, hey baby, all day. You're still gonna have to do them prime things. And they was like, oh, what? Oh, my woman takes it for me. And I'm like, all right, here y'all go, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens.
Let me guess. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like
Rod
she's just
Steele
on your bones all day.
Yeah.
Like, no, you gotta prime
Rod
that
Steele.
thing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you. But
Yeah.
when you said that, I was just like, there's guys out here that just think like, oh yeah, my wife's gonna be jumping on me, or it's always going to be like that, and that's always going to be the flow. Or like you said earlier, Tate, like it might not be the yams you really want out of the experience. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not need somewhere to put my wood in a hole either. Like, I want the full experience. Right. And if you're not primed and ready to give me the full gathering, then I don't really want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But
but there are times though. There are times when I can tell, like, my wife is kind of, priming me. She got a little smell that she wears. She might, she rub my butt a certain way, or certain things that but there are certain things that that she will do to let me know. Hey, pause. No, but there are certain things that she will do to let me know, like, hey, when you get home, mama need maintenance too.
Right, 2 knuckle shawty, huh? But no, so that's real though. I mean, I think that there's a certain y'all stupid. There's a certain level of maturity that had to come with that though. Because I remember early in my life, man, and maybe that was too early to be married, but like I remember, man, I was kind of like, yo, I got a raw deal, like, because you thinking that it's supposed to go down, it's in-house yams, and to y'all point, like, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, like how rage rooms are, like, that was my rage room, like I'm gonna get this off and we good. And when it wasn't happening, like, so now the thermostat's off, I'm going around the house upset, I'm acting out because I ain't getting my medicine. So understanding and being self-aware enough to know what you need. Man, y'all wild, but
she's
that's
in pain, bro.
Hey, look, hey, oh well.
Using the yams as a rage room is crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, mess with the bull, you get the horns. Y'all bananas, man. But no, I mean, like,
what's in that cup, yo? What's in that cup?
Yo, this is this is a glimpse into the mind of a young Mo Better. I've evolved since then, but that was a reality. I mean, come on, man, that's just what it is, man. And a lot of people, especially young cats, man, they're going into it thinking that, and a lot of times, man, like, they're going into a marriage with that being kind of a primary reason why. Probably not a good idea, you know what I mean? Because unless somehow y'all getting paid for it, unless y'all getting on camera and doing something, it ain't gonna pay the bills. So it's not always gonna be kind of that GFE experience, because there's other stuff that needs to be handled that are more primary to just getting that off. It's kind of hard to be sexy when the lights is out. You know what I mean? Like, you flip that switch and it ain't coming on, or y'all ain't ate today. You know what I mean? You don't look real manly at this point, to her. Right. So you have to keep that in mind, that there's a certain level of needs that need to be handled before you can get to that. I always say that that's more of a side dish.
Let's say you handle the needs, right? Now you're extra frustrated when the yams are coming your way. When you got all the bills is paid, there's food in the fridge, blah, 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 blah. Hey,
look, and then there's internal needs now. Now you got to go into your tape mode and get on my couch. And now I need to see what's your thermostat. Yeah, but again, I'm like,
I love y'all said that. The external needs, and then you gotta do the internal needs. I love it.
I just wanted to go to the rage room.
Yeah,
I just want to go to the rage room. I wasn't looking for a therapy session. So, but when you mature, you realize, like, one hand washes the other. And I've got to that point in life, but it took some time.
No, I love it. What you got, Lee? Look, I didn't adjust you. You've had your way the whole show. the entire show. So you should be eating every time you get him.
I appreciate it. Because I was waiting for it to, the ball to drop and you just switch it up there. But you know what I mean? I'm appreciative that you did. I didn't get so enamored by the amber libation that I forgot the question. So I'm gonna need you to swing that back one time. I started laughing and it got lost.
Every time I see you, Tatum's gonna be like, give you the thumbs up.
two knuckle shotty, huh?
What's the realistic expectation? Hold on.
Look, Tay said I ain't that involved.
Realistic expectation.
Nah, not at all. Tate ain't got a back button, bro.
What's the realistic expectation for intimacy in a relationship?
So first, let me.
And nobody spoke
first,
about
let
the
me
neck
address.
Either. Nobody spoke about neck.
It's part of it. What you mean?
But yeah. That's the.
The rage room always has a door handle. What you talking about? That's how I got in.
I mean, sometimes you just want the neck, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's like you just like neck is all you want. But I mean, go ahead. What you got? Leave my bad.
Nah, it's all good, man. All I was saying is, man, a lot of times, man, especially being married for multiple years. I think Mo was married before us, so you know what I mean. Collectively, he's been married for probably more years than we have been married for. At this point, we've been married for what?
That's crazy. Over half my life. Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah, collectively, I've been married over half my life.
Collectively, like, and we've been married. Each of us been married around 10 years. So, with that being said, man, things change for your spouse as you get more into the relationship, man. Early on, they're probably more enamored. You maybe had a little swag, or they had something that they, were attracted to, and that, that was something there. But then as you get more and more into the relationship and they get more serious about you, then they start thinking about more serious stuff, and they start thinking about the future and their emotions and all of this stuff. And that's the type of intimacy that you have to tap into regularly on a daily basis in order to get her to that space to where she wants to be physically intimate with you on a regular basis. And I think with work and kids and responsibilities and everything else, sometimes we miss the mark on that, and we just feel like, hey man, I just did XYZ, you should be ready, you know what I mean? And they got a life too, so oftentimes, especially if they're not like stay-at-home moms, I mean, even if they are stay-at-home moms, then they have the kids are a task to deal with all goddamn day, and by the time you get home, the heck with you, Tag, you're it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take a nap. You got this. You know what I mean? So we need to, whether that's, sending little text messages during the day, or, a little kiss before you leave, or, a smack on the butt before you leave, or whatever it may be, flirting and, maintaining that level of psychological intimacy in order to make sure she stays in that space to where you can be physically intimate as much as you want to be, is the key. And I think that's where we often miss the mark, because we're like, yo, man, I'm doing way more now for you and this union now that we're together than I was when we were just dating. And I was getting it all the time. Like I did barely nothing then, and I was getting it all the time. Now I'm doing 10 times more and never getting it. Like, this is crazy. So, but I think, the dichotomy, there's a dichotomy and there's a shift in when you become serious and when you start thinking about building a life together, that happens in a woman's mind, where it just shifts. And now there's this emotional aspect that you have to tap into that we're not necessarily equipped for. You know what I mean? And it's a learn behavior. So if we don't learn it, then you don't know to tap into that, and you just think she's rebelling against you, or she's just, denying you something. But no, she's not trying to deny you, but at the same time, she feels like she's being denied something that she needs because her needs have changed within the relationship, and now she needs more emotional support. She needs more of that, emotional validation regularly than she needed in the past. And so I think as we continue to get more and more and deeper into our marriages and things like that, I think those are things that we have to think about, because our schedules aren't freed up anymore. You know what I mean? We're getting busier and busier. Things are happening. Your kids are in different phases of their lives, and you guys are in different phases of your lives. So you got to kind of make room for that emotional and intellectual and psychological intimacy for your woman, so that she has that space for that physical intimacy for you. And that's all I have to say about that.
So I got a quick question. Mm-hmm. So, Lee, like you said, you have to do those things that you didn't necessarily do before. But when we was out there, gaming her and like giving her all we had, and we would send those text messages throughout the day and all those other things because we had time. Like, I think that those were things that we were actually doing when she was just throwing it at us at that time when we were dating, that we kind of relax on when we get married, because it becomes more of a business arrangement when we get married. Like, we have this unspoken expectation of I, like, you supposed to be feeding me this, feeding me that, doing this for me, doing that for me. But the old people say, you got to do the same stuff to get her, or same stuff you did to get her in order to keep her. Like, we was doing those things, we were feeding into her intellect, feeding into her, emotional man, feeding into her, all those things when we was, trying to get her. And then now that we got her, we be like, and then we got to come to that realization that, I really got to like keep doing those things if I want to create that environment where I can get it.
Well, I think the mindset is, and I don't want to speak for every guy, but I'll speak for myself. I think the perception is that, you almost trade that, which is to be in some ways nonsensical bullcrap. That's just where you're getting to know each other. Now we freaking know each other. I know when you're going to do everything in your life. So what the heck am I chatting with you about on the phone till 3 a.m? We know each other now. So now what I'm doing now, and what I've substituted for that, whatever, that you may equate to, this intimacy or whatever. What I'm doing now is, now I'm paying all the bills. Now I'm fixing the cars. Now I'm making, you know what I mean? Now I'm doing X, Y, Z. Now I'm making sure that you are safe and that you were covered. Those were things that I wasn't doing when we were dating or just talking. So now I've exchanged this superficial mess that I was doing just to hit for something that is substantial that I'm doing to maintain our lives. And I think that's the trade-off that most people think that there is, but you can't just leave the flirtation and all of that other stuff behind. That has to continue, but it doesn't.
Well, that's that inner caveman. That's that inner caveman coming out.
The logical man.
That thing bought and paid for. That thing bought and paid for.
Logically, it doesn't make sense.
I didn't buy the cow with the milk. I didn't buy the cow.
Logically, it doesn't make sense. Why am I still doing this? You know what I mean? Why am I still doing this? We're past that. To me, like, we're past that. But they never get past it. So that is a continual process, but nobody tells you that. You know what I mean? Once you feel like, okay, I got her now. Now my responsibility is making sure that we never fall. You know what I mean? And that is a heck of a responsibility to put on any one person. But most men take that on as their responsibility to make sure that this family never falls. And that's a heck of a responsibility. And now you're telling me I got to text you periodically too, and I got to flirt here and there like that. To me, that just seems like extra.
It seems overkill, right?
Unnecessary work.
Yeah. I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah,
but I guess that's the work you sign up for.
Yeah, I mean,
and
but
it might not be
nobody
fair.
tells you that. Nobody tells you that though.
That's why we say
you got to figure out on your own when they're saying
we
like,
telling
yeah, I'm just not happy. Like, what do you mean you're not happy? What are you talking about?
You look around like the lights is paid, the bills is on the water.
Like, we had steak and lobster yesterday, man. We just got a
Did you take a shower today? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, happy. Wait, are you the AC working, ain't it? They say they make you happy when they come out. Get what's out of there and change your oxytocin. But hey, this was a great conversation. I don't think we left like this in a minute. It's been a while. Hey, Tate, man, you're welcome to come back anytime, bro. Like whenever you're free, just you know what I mean. We do this bi-weekly every on Tuesday night.
Shoot me a message, man.
Got you. Hey, man, that's another prototype dad. We out. Peace.